then strings in Python. So those who have joined late, welcome everyone. Good evening. My name is Nikhat Nazam Sari, and I will be taking up your Python course. And this is the course content, the topics that I will be covering in the entire duration of 5 weeks. So here, starting from basics of Python, to the flow control, to the input-output operators, then string, data structures, which is the composite data structure, list, tuple, and dictionary. Then functions in Python, user-defined as well as the customer-defined function. Then modules in Python, how you can define your own module and how you can use the already developed module in your code. Then Python packages, exception handling, it is for handling the errors gracefully. So it is the exception handling. Then file handling, how to open and close the file, how to write content in the file with the help of your Python program. Then to the advanced part, I will be jumping. And here, the first part is the Python object-oriented programming. So Python is an object-oriented programming language following the paradigm. So the entire concept of what are objects, what are classes, all the things. Then NumPy, because if you want to build your career, if you want to move towards data science or data engineering or data analytics, then to write code in Python, you should have the knowledge of NumPy. So NumPy package, I will be starting here and taking up arrays, one-dimension arrays, multi-dimension arrays, then searching and sorting in NumPy array, random data, arithmetic operations, etc. And then the second last part is the data visualization, that you want to visualize your data. So I'll be taking up pandas here. So plotting the graph with the help of your data points, converting your data into two-dimensional series and data frames, etc. Then Python generators and decorators, the last topic. So this is the entire course content. Any queries? Any queries from here? Okay. If no query, I'm moving ahead. So welcome everyone to my Python course. So if you have any problem, any query regarding this course, you can send an email on this email ID, support@logiclabtech.com. Then if you want to register yourself, you can use this QR code and to scan the course content, which I have shown you right now. So you can scan this QR code. And the timings for the session is 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. And for any general information, any query, if you want to just have any query, if you want to ask any question, you can just email your query on this email ID, or you can call the Logic Lab team on these numbers. And you will be getting first 5 sessions for free, and the 6th session will be actually available only for the registered participants, only for the paid candidates. And you can get the session recordings and notes through their LMS, which is having the name Graphy. And the support team is available in between 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. IST. Any general query? Anything you want to ask before starting the session? So let us cover the first topic of my course content, Introduction to Python. So can I have your point of view What do you know about Python? Yes. Can we have a very interactive session rather than a monotonous delivery? I request all of you to participate. Yes, Komal, it is the programming language. So it is a high level programming language. And why we are calling it as high level programming language? So for this, let me just explain you one simple concept. What is a computer program and why we require programming language, and what do you understand by high level programming languages? So I want my computer, my system, my laptop to do a work on my behalf. I want to automate a task. For example, if I write, I want to know the answer of this 12 factorial. So how many of you can give me the instant answer without using a calculator? So anyone who can calculate this manually by taking less time? So you can answer 2 factorial. So 2 factorial is very easy. So you know answer is 2. 3 factorial answer is 4. Answer is 6. 4 factorial answer is 24. So when the numbers are small, you can perform fewer calculations yourself. But when the calculation is actually involving lot of steps, intermediate steps, and the number is very large, so you will take some time. So rather than doing this multiplication, this calculation yourself, you want this calculation to be done by a machine, by a device, a calculating device. And you take the help of a calculator. And calculator will do this task for you and will provide you the output within no time. And the machines are giving you accurate result. But how this machine, this calculating device is performing calculation for you? Because this device is programmed, this device is actually trained in such a way that you are giving the instruction. So you as a developer of this device program, so what you are given instructions that how to calculate this 12 factorial, what is the logic of this 12 factorial. So you are writing the formula here, you are defining the logic here in the instructions, and these instructions you are giving to the device, and device is following the instruction to calculate the answer of this 12 factorial. And the set of instructions that you are giving to your device so that the device can perform a task automatically on your behalf, this is known as a program. This is known as a program. And the main task of writing the program is to achieve automation, to automate the task which you want a device or a machine to do for you. Now, this program that you are giving, there is a problem of language. There is a problem of language that the computer understands. What language? Can anyone give me the answer? What language computer understands?
Programming language.
The computer is working, the machine is actually understanding, yes, Komal, the binary language. Absolutely correct. So the low level language or machine language, computer understands binary language, means the language of zeros and ones. So computer understands binary language. And we call this language as low level machine language, which is closer to machine. But it is really difficult for humans to work on the streams of zeros and ones. It is really difficult for us. So we are comfortable in language which is closer to our native language. For example, English language. We are very much comfortable about this. So we are very much comfortable about this. So users or the programmers are very much comfortable in the language which is similar to English. And we want some sort of language which can be easily converted to binary, which computer can understand, and whatever result computer is providing, I want to have that result back in my English format, back in a format which is actually understood by humans. So it is like the person knows Chinese and you knows English. So you want to convert English to Chinese so that other person with whom you are conversing should be able to understand what you are saying. So we require a special type of language which is known as programming language, which can be easily converted to the machine level language, the binary language. So this programming language is closer to your normal English language, which user or which humans can easily understand. And it can also be translated to the machine level language to binary, and so that the computer can easily understand this. I hope this is clear. Is this clear to everyone? So those who have joined late, this is the PPT. If you want to get the course content, that what all topics I'll be covering, you can scan this. And if you want to register yourself for the course, you can just use this. So now Python is a programming language because this I can use to write the instructions which I want to give to the computer, which I want to give to the machine. And why I'm calling it as high level language? Because there are a lot of inbuilt functions. Which you can use. So rather than coding yourself, rather than writing a lot of lines of code, you can just use only few lines of code by using various functions which are already developed by the developers. So ready-made functions are there. You can use it. So what this is doing, this is actually helping you to write fewer lines of code, to perform a very complex, you can say, to solve a very complex problem. That is why it is known as high-level language, because it is less code intensive. There are ready-made functions which you have to simply use. You don't have to write the code for these functions, the entire code. You can simply use it. It is like ready-made thing. It was designed by Guido von Rossum in 1991 and developed by Python Software Foundation. So this is the history of Python. And it was mainly developed to help the developers, to help the programmers to write the concept, to write the solution of a complex problem in fewer lines of code. Python programming language in which Python is said to have, so the predecessor of Python is ABC programming language, and Python is succeeding this language. And from where the name Python is taken? So it is taken from the BBC show. So the Monty Python's Flying Circus. And Godowon Russell was a big fan of this TV show and he wanted to have a very unique and short name. So he took up the name Python from this BBC TV show. Any problem to anyone in history of Python? Why we are using programming language? What do you understand by high-level programming language? Any query? Can I get the answer in the chat box? Shrikant, Subhash, Tushar, Smita, Shilpa, Venkat, Bhuvneshwari, Sai Prasad, Sasi Bhushan, Prajwal, Komal, Krishna. So that is the history of Python. Let us move on to the next thing, uses of Python. So why you need to learn this Python? Because it can be used to solve a very simple problem and it can solve the complex problem as well. So it is stable, flexible, simple programming language, ideal for the beginners, those who are actually starting to understand the programming. So it is very much easier for them to start with Python because this is requiring fewer lines of code to solve a complex problem. And you can solve various machine learning and artificial intelligence problem, AI problem, deep learning problem with the help of Python. So if you want to go for data analytics, then also you can use Python to deal with your data. So for dimension reductionality, for improving the quality of your data, you can use Python code. Another area, popular area where you are using Python is data visualization. So if you want to visualize your data, if you want to convert your data to charts, to graph, then you can use Python. Then Python is great choice for web development if you want to have the backend logic. If you want to use Python for web development and you want to develop dynamic website, so you can use Python frameworks such as Django, Pyramid, and Flask. It is helping you to develop your websites and implement the backend logic in Python. And backend logic is actually doing what? Your front end, your website will communicate with your backend, the database. So these are very few uses of Python, but there are a lot of users making Python the most popular language, programming language nowadays. And it is easier to learn. Next are features of Python. It is free and open source. So you can download Python from python.org. I will be showing it to you how to download Python and install it on your system. So python.org. So you can download the software. It is open source. You need not to purchase any license. Easy to code because a lot of inbuilt functions are there. So ready-made functions are there. You have to simply use those functions. So easy to code, easy to read because it is closer to English language. Easy to read, closer to humans. It is object-oriented programming language. So whatever work you are doing with Java, you can do the same work with Python as well. It supports object-oriented paradigm. Then GUI programming support. If you want to develop GUI, the form with button, with text box, radio button, etc., etc. So you can use Python and you can have the GUI package, which is known as tkinter. It is high level language, I told you, because a lot of inbuilt codes are there, easy to code. Fewer lines of code is required to solve a complex problem, closer to humans. Then it has large community support. If I talk about Stack Overflow, so how many of you know about the Stack Overflow community? Yes. How many of you know about the Stack Overflow community or the Python community on LinkedIn? Have you ever tried to go through Python community? So what you are doing on Stack Overflow? Anyone is having any idea? So Stack Overflow, what you are getting? All right, Komal, let me just explain you. So Stack Overflow is actually the community support for Python or other languages or other technologies as well. So if you are getting stuck with your code, if you want to have help from the expert or from the people who are very much experienced in Python, so you can join the community. And a lot of people are the part of community, and there they might answer your problem. They can solve your problem and troubleshoot it. Then easy to debug. And Python is a portable language. It is not machine dependent language. It is portable language. Portable means you can run the Python on any of the framework, on any of the machine. And it is interpreted language. So here, when you are converting Python to computer understood machine language, so who is doing this translation? The translators are doing this. And there are two types of translators, compiler and interpreter. Can anyone tell me the difference between the two? So what compiler is doing, suppose there are 5 lines of code here. So what compiler is doing, compiler is first translating the entire code and then executing the complete code. Interpreter is doing what? Interpreter is evaluating one line, translating one line and executing it, then going to next line, then going to next line, then going to next line. So line by line execution of the program is done by interpreter, and the complete execution of the program altogether is done by compiler. So Python is, yes, Raghuvendra. So Python is interpreted language. And when it is interpreted language, so what we are getting? We are getting an intermediate code. And the intermediate code is actually machine independent. You can run this intermediate code anywhere on any machine. It is machine independent. So Python is interpreted language. So these are various features of Python. Any problem to anyone so far? Okay. So only the first topic, introduction to Python, is somewhat theoretical, but I will be taking up rest of the things along with practical implementation. Now installation of Python on Windows. This is for the one who are actually starting learning Python. So they are beginner. So how to install Python for Windows? For that, you have to go to python.org. So python.org. And here, documentation, downloads, community. You can join Python community here. Success stories. So you can discover a lot of feature. So click on this download. And the latest release, the latest version for Windows is 3.11.5. You can install Python on Linux, on Mac OS. So you just have to click on this link, etc., etc. So when you click on download Python, the Python exe file will be there. When you execute that exe file, the normal installer, MSI installer, the installation wizard will be appearing, and you can install Python just as the normal software. So let me share the link in the chat box. And after that, you can install Python. So let me download Python 3.11.5. I already have Python installed on my system. So this is an exe file. When you execute it, so you will be getting a window installer, the installation wizard. So it is asking me to upgrade to Python 3.11.5 because I already have Python on my system. It is asking me to upgrade. But if you don't have Python installed on your system, you can complete the installation by following the instruction on this wizard. Clear to everyone? And those who have the Linux operating system, those who are working on Linux operating system, so what you have to do, you have to execute these commands. So the first command that you will be executing on your Linux terminal is to download this tar file. So whatever version you want to download, so latest is 3.11.5. So whatever version you want to download. So wget is the utility to download the file from this location. After downloading the file, you need to extract it because it is a compressed file. You need to extract. And how to extract this file? Using the command tar. And these are the option XZF to extract the file. Which file? This file, this last file, the compressed file. Then install Python. So first you need to, so when you extract the file, there will be a Python 3.11.4 module, this folder created on your system. And you need to change the directory. You need to go to this folder. And how to install? So you need to execute this command to install the Python on your Linux machine. And after installation, you can remove this downloaded file. So how to remove? This is the command. So sudo, because to remove the file, you need to have some permission, extra permission, because normal user cannot install or remove the software. So it is the work of the administrator. So to give the permission of administrator to the normal user, you are giving the sudo command. So it is to give the permission to install or to remove the file. And rm is to remove the file. And how to test the Python version? So once you have installed Python version, so you can just test the Python version. So what you have to do? So on my Windows system, you need to just go to CMD or Windows PowerShell, whatever you want to use. And here, write Python, the command that you will be using to cross-check whether Python is installed on your system or not. So Python -- version. So actually, I'm not having the Python path set up in my system, but I already have Python. So you can just write Python here and you can see 3.11 app. And to work on Python, you need to have Python IDLE. So you just type Python IDLE. IDLE is the integrated development environment for Python, where you will be writing your code. So I think some problem is there with my system. So no problem in that. If you are not interested in installing Python on your system, what you can do, you can use online editor or you can use Visual Studio Code, the IDE. So these are the IDE. So this is the online compiler for Python. And you can use Visual Studio Code to write your Python program. So let me show you the Visual Studio Code. This is the IDE. So you can install this. And you can write the file and save it with .py extension. So whatever file you are writing here, whatever file you are saving, it has some extension. The Python file is having the extension .py. So Python file is having the extension .py. So you can use any of these three. So when you install the Python, you can just write IDLE. There is some problem with my Python code. I will be installing it again. So with this IDLE, you can write Python code, or you can use this online VDB compiler, or you can use Visual Studio Code, or you can use any other IDE. For example, PyCharm you can use, which is specifically for Python only. You can use Google Colab. You can use Jupyter Notebook, Anaconda. You can use Spider. So is the installation of Python clear to everyone on Windows and Linux? So IDE is an integrated development environment. And IDLE is integrated development and learning environment. So why we have the integrated environment? So let me just show you this IDE. Can you see this is the IDE for Python? Why it is an IDE? Because it is providing you the text editor where you can write your lines of code. So here you can write your code. So print something, whatever code you want to write, you can write on this editor. Now, when you execute your program, the compiler or interpreter is provided here. You have a debugger to debug your program. If you have any error, any problem in your program, and if you want to debug it, so you can use debugger. And you can have output window as well. So when you execute the program here with the help of run button, so you are getting the output on this output console. So it is giving you the entire thing, the complete package, the complete framework to write your code, test it, and debug it. So that is the meaning of IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Yes, please click on that checkbox, python.exe to add to the path. You will not face the problem which I was facing. So I generally prefer to work on online Python compiler because I need not to save any file on my local system. So I generally prefer this. And Visual Studio Code, of course. Any query? Any query till here? Anything you want me to answer? So you can unmute yourself because you are allowed to talk.
Ma'am, I have installed a Python.
Yes.
Is Anaconda prompt also, is it required to do the Python program, or any one is enough for Python or Anaconda?
Please pardon. You have installed Python?
Python, and also I have the Anaconda prompt also. Is it required?
So no problem. If you have Anaconda, you can just use the Anaconda notebook. to write your Python code, or you can also use IDLE. It is your choice.
Okay, but both the cases is not compulsory, right?
No, it is
Anyone
not
is
compulsory.
okay.
Actually,
But
Anaconda is very heavy software. It will slow down your system.
which one?
Anaconda.
Anaconda. Okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Now, how to write the first Python program? So the first Python program is to print welcome or hello world. So it is to print hello world on the screen. So to print something on the output screen, I am using a function which is known as a print function. And whenever a function is used in Python, it is actually followed by a parenthesis. And parenthesis contains the message that you want to print or anything that you want to display on the screen. You write that thing inside the parenthesis, and that becomes your argument to this function. So you are simply using this print function. You are not defining, you are not telling the Python program how to display the output on the screen. No, it is already, the definition of this print function is already there. We are simply using it. And the name of the function is in the lowercase. And you need not to add any delimiter or any state terminator for this statement. You can just write the single statement and execute. So how to write the simple Python program? The first program, print hello world on the output console. So you are using this print. And can you see when I'm writing, I'm getting these suggestions automatically that what to use, what is the correct spelling of the function. So this is why I prefer to use IDE. So when you are writing print and when you write the correct spelling, so you can see earlier the color of this is white, but now the color, when I write the complete thing, now the color changes. Now the change in color is telling me that I am actually using the correct syntax of my function. Syntax is the way of writing the statement in a particular programming language, following all rules. So now, because it is a function, function is followed by parenthesis. And whatever you want to print. So let me print welcome to Python session. So whatever message you want to print, and since it is a text message, so I have to include the text message within single quote, double quote, or triple quote. So this is way of writing the program. So in English, you have some rules and regulations. You follow grammar. That if it is a question, it should be having question mark at the end. If it is a normal statement, then it should have full stop at the end. If it is a proper noun, it should start with you can say the capital letter. So there are some rules, the grammar with every language. And here also, how to write the thing, how to write the statement, how to write the code. I have to follow the grammar. And here I am calling that grammar as the syntax, the rules of how to write the program. What is the correct way of writing the program? So that is my syntax. So if it is a text message, then but whenever you are using text in Python, you need to enclose it within single quote, double quote, or triple quote. So the argument to my function, print function, is welcome to Python session. And you can see only one line of code to print the message on the screen. And when you execute this program, click on this run button. So you are getting the output. Welcome to Python session. Can you see this output? And how many lines of code I have written? Only one line. So that is the beauty of learning Python. And this print is an built-in function. It is already defined function. I need not to tell that how to print this on the screen. I need not to write extra code, because the definition, the task that print function is doing, it is already coded. I'm simply using this function. So what I'm doing, I'm simply using it function to print my message. Only one line of code. Need not to put any full stop, any semicolon, any colon at the end of the statement. No delimiter is used. So it is really simple. You can try this with single quotes and double quotes as well. So print followed by parenthesis. So I'm using single quote, that hello world. Let me check whether this is working or not. So when you click on this run, so you can see I am getting the output. So I'm not getting any error. And let me check it with triple quotes. So let me check it with the triple quotes. And let me execute the program. So it is working. So double quote, single quote, and triple quotes, all the quotes are working. So whenever you are using a string or text in your Python program, it should be enclosed either within single quote or double quote or triple quote. Suppose, what if you forget to close this bracket? You forget to close this bracket. So what you are getting? You will be getting an error. And what error you are getting? You are getting a syntax error. You are getting a syntax error. And which error? That the opening bracket in line number 11 is never closed. So this opening bracket, its counterpart is missing. And it is giving you line number as well. The statement number 11 is having the problem. And what kind of error it is? It is a syntax error, because this statement is supposed to be written like this. The bracket should be closed, but you have forgotten to close this bracket. So it is giving you a syntax error, that it is not the correct way of writing your statement. You are missing something. And what you are missing this, the counterpart of this opening bracket. So you have opened a bracket, but you have not closed it. So using IDE is very easy, because if you are making some mistake or if some errors are there in your program, so you can just go to the error and try to find out in which line number and then troubleshoot it. If not, then you can just copy the error and search it and paste it in some community, and you'll be getting some response from AWS, Python expert and Python experienced developers. So if you forget to close this bracket, close this double quotes or triple quote, but you have placed the bracket. So when I execute this program, so I am getting syntax error again in line number 11. And with syntax error, I am getting unterminated triple quoted string literal. So the triple quote which I have opened, it is unterminated. I need to terminate it. And you can see when the quotes were missing, so my color of the bracket, the closing bracket was green color, means it is the part of the string. But when I am closing the bracket, closing the triple quote, so you can see now the color of my bracket, the closing bracket is white. So with IDE, with a change of color, you can make out whether you are writing the correct syntax or not. Suppose here you are writing, you forget to give the complete name. It is a typo error. So print, it should be print, but you have written print. So can you see the color difference? That if the the name of the print function is correct, then it is in different color, and now it is in different color. So with the difference in color, you can make out. And when you execute this, so you will get an error. So what error you are getting? So you are getting name error. So name error in which line? In line number 10. So means there is no problem in 9 and 11. So line number 10, you need to give a name error. So print is not defined. So did you mean print? So it is giving you suggestion as well. So did you mean print here? You want to use print function here? So troubleshooting is really an important part. Debugging is really an important part. So whatever error message you are getting, please don't be afraid of the error message while programming. The more error you will get, the more you troubleshoot, the more you learn. So need to read the error message very carefully, that why you are getting this error. Because once you resolve the problem, next time you get similar kind of error, you know beforehand the solution. So you write print here, and it is actually suggesting you. So you just select here, and now all the print function are having the same color. And when you execute this, you will get the expected output. So this is your first program in Python. Any query? Any problem? So let me just share this link. Any problem to anyone? Now, instead of, I have used three functions here. I have used three functions here. And I'm printing the output on the screen. So for each print function, I'm simply using it. I'm not defining it. So that is why Python requires fewer lines of code to present the solution to a problem. So what is the program? So it is a solution to your problem. Now, suppose if you want to print some value, so rather than printing the text message, if you want to print some value, so let me print 10 here. So let me check whether it is working with non-text values as well. So it is working with numeric value. So I'm getting 10 value on the output screen. If it is working with float, decimal numbers. So let me check. Yes, it is working fine. So print as the output function. You want to print anything on the screen, on the terminal output console, you need to use print function. And function is always followed by a parenthesis. Suppose if you want to print the addition of these two numbers, you want to add these two numbers, 10 and 9.87. So you can add the two numbers using the print function. So inside the print function, what you want to do, you want to add these two numbers. And you can see you are getting the output. You are getting the addition. So if you want to add these two numbers, so you can give the expression in the argument, and here you are getting the output, the sum of these two numbers. So what this print function is doing, it is first solving this expression, evaluating this expression, and then whatever result will be there, it is printing it. Clear? So with this, I have completed one module of my course, that is Introduction to Python. It was a bit theoretical, but from next topics onwards, I will try to keep it more practical with less theory and more examples. So in the next session tomorrow, I will be taking up basics of Python. We'll be talking about building blocks, that what are identifiers, what are keywords, what are data types, and typecasting. If you want to download this course content, you can download the course content from here. So this QR code for the course content, and if you want to join the course, this is the QR code to register. Can I have a quick feedback in the chat box? My humble request to all of you. Can I have a quick feedback in the chat box for today's session? Only one liner, not much. Because your feedback is important. To improve the quality of my sessions, I actually depend very much on the feedback of my candidates. Whether it is positive or negative, I appreciate your feedback because it is helping me to evolve, to emerge as a good trainer. Thank you all those who are providing the feedback. So humble request to those who have not provided the feedback, please, it is a matter of one line. So thank you everyone. So that is my session. I want to wind up here only. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Prajwal. So good night, everyone. See you all tomorrow. Thank you, Mudassir. Good night. Bye, everyone.